Welcome back to Founders Mental Health, the podcast where we interview amazing people about their own mental health and trying to find tips and tricks from them. My name is Paula, your podcast host, and together with me today, I have LINEH. Hi, LINEH.
Hi, Paula. Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Super excited to hear about your journey. We had an amazing coffee chat a while back, and we said, we should definitely have you on the podcast. So here we are.
Yes, and I'm very happy about that. I'm very excited. Yeah.
And I'm just so amazed with your LinkedIn profile. Like your tagline is your company's got chaos. Excellent. You can get efficiency without burnout.
Yes.
Amazing. I think this is absolutely crazy. So I want to hear more. But tell me more about your background and what you do, your story.
I help teams and organizations deliver efficiently. So that is one of the things I do. But I do that, and this is so important to me, I do that while making room for real human beings. I do believe that, often when we want to be work efficiently and, whether it's teams or companies or the individual, we tend to forget that, an efficient process that actually consists of tasks that has to be completed by human beings, not robots.
Yeah,
I mean, the robots they haven't taken over yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And, when you forget that that you're actually creating processes for real human beings, you may create, beautiful flow charts that looks very, very smooth and efficient, and this is going to be great. But, real human beings, they have, a lot on the plates. They have good days, bad days. They have, that Wednesday afternoon where they're crashing after lunch, and you have to design for that when you are designing an efficient process. Because if you don't do that, it will just, end up with the flowchart and not people doing stuff differently. And basically what you have to do, and this might sound a bit boring, but you have to keep it small and you have to keep it plain and simple, because that is when you actually create change.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons. There's actually two more reasons to remember those human beings if you want to work efficiently. And the second one has actually something to do with my background. I've been working in digital for 20 years now. So my expertise is tech and it's development projects. And when you have, all of this complexity and you have to think new stuff and be innovative, you have to make sure that you use, the human brain's capacity to be creative. And I'm sorry to say, but most workplaces and actually just our society as a whole, that's not really fit for human creativity. I mean, if you boil that down, how does the human brain work when it has to be creative? Well, basically, you focus on something, you dig into something, read about it, or you listen to something about it, or you talk to other about it. You try to solve a problem. You're nodding. I believe that you know this. You have a startup. You know how it is when you have a problem you need to solve or something you need to understand. So you dig into it. You focus, and then you take a break where you hopefully do something completely different. You go for a walk, you take a bath, you do the dishes, whatever. You knit something, I don't care, just do something different. And then what happens is that brain switch to what's called the default mode network. And then the mind actually works in the background. And that is the reason why you get an excellent idea in the bath. Yeah, and now, getting back to our workplaces and our, society as a whole, I mean, how often do you have uninterrupted time where you can focus? And nervous laughter from Paula, yes.
Yeah.
And then also, enough rest to actually let your mind work and process what it has just dug into. We don't have that. And I mean, we have just a world that becomes more and more complex, and we need more and more innovative solutions. So it's kind of crazy that we, are not designing our workplaces to accommodate this. So that was a very long explanation for the second reason, which leads me to the final last one. And that is basically we need to consider human beings when we want to be efficient because of ethics. I mean, I do believe that everyone deserves to thrive in their job. And I mean, at least as far as I know here in Denmark, my guess would be it's the same in other places as well. I mean, every time somebody tries to measure how many people are stressed, the numbers are going up and up and up. So, I mean, there are probably many reasons, but I do believe this is one of the reasons that we do have society and workplaces that are not fit for human beings or human minds. We had unions way back that fought for like our physical health. Now we need to fight for our mental health.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, so many. I'm nodding all the time because I
Yes.
can relate so much with this because we're in a society we're going for productivity, efficiency, and even though we implement technology that is supposed to help us with that, right?
Yeah.
So we have more free time, so to say. Well, instead of that free time to think creatively, we stuck it with even more tasks.
Yes. Exactly.
So it's like counterintuitive to what we're trying to achieve. It's a bit crazy. How do we get out of this?
We start by measuring our productivity differently.
Hmm.
And on this, I am definitely standing on the shoulders of Cal Newport, who's I think we could call him some sort of guru
Hmm.
in personal productivity, which is something I'm also very excited about. I do know a lot of stuff about agile methodologies when it comes to team and organizations, but when it comes to the individual, I love personal productivity. Talking about that for hours. And, this Mr. Newport, he is saying that, well, we still measure productivity like we did in the factory. And maybe even, back when we were doing the agriculture thing, we count and measure quantity. How
Hmm.
much are we getting done? So this is the reason why we think we're very, very productive and busy when we are like, answering our emails and taking a list off with different tasks. And I love lists. There's nothing wrong with lists, but this idea that just quantity is the important stuff,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's quality. And again, when we work in tech and development, creativity, innovation, and I have to admit, it's very difficult to measure.
Hmm.
But you need to, every time you start something new, a big project, small project, an entire company, you need to figure out what do I want to accomplish?
Hmm.
How can I measure whether I have accomplished this or not?
Okay, so setting some goals from the beginning,
Yes.
individual and company based, and then
Yes.
going for that instead of measuring number of hours or task completed.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes. If you want to create a company because you want to make this concrete, specific change in the world,
Hmm.
and you want to do it by that time, and maybe get this many people on board, you
Yeah.
have three things you can measure. And that is what measure while going on
Yes.
this journey. And then you figure out if you're on the right track or not. And
Yeah.
this has nothing to do how many hours you're putting in. My guess would be that you actually need to make sure that you don't put too many hours in, because first of all, you need to survive. I mean, if you're crashing and burning, you will not accomplish this. And also, I mean, again, you need to think about this, think creatively about this, and for that, your brain needs a rest
Yes.
many times.
Yes. Okay, so two follow-up questions then. How does this apply then in terms of larger organizations like companies that have the traditional system on they have a preference that you work between 9 and 3 or something every day. Some even require that you come in the office. And then the second target audience is founders, right? Startups, where things are, you find much more chaos there, I would say. Or at least people admit to more chaos compared to organizations that they say they have processes in place. um,
Actually, sometimes I have this, at least a feeling that there's just as much chaos in regular companies. They just like hide it
yeah.
underneath all those processes and bureaucracy. But actually, when you like dig into it, there's, oh my God, there's just as much chaos down here.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe I think startups are just, more honest.
Yeah. Yeah. More honest. Yes. But in terms of corporations, like bigger companies, what can they do to actually work towards these goals? All everything based on that, measuring that, and not number of hours. What does it require to make that change?
Maybe this is a boring answer. It might be a bit of a hippie answer. Trust. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're asking me, the top management of a company, they have three tasks. First of all, there's probably a lot of like external stakeholders that has to be like patted on the head or something like that. That is one of their tasks. They have to do that. Also, they have to, create a strategy, actually create those goals. Everyone in this company are going this way. They need to like point to that. Somebody called that a North Star. I don't care what you call it. You just need to be able to answer, your why. Why are we doing what we are doing and where are we going? Because then the employees know where to go. And the last task management have is to make sure that their employees are able to do that. So, trust their employees that they can do this. They have their goal, they have their expertise. Now they're ready to go. And if somebody comes up that hinder them in doing what they're supposed to do, well, help them remove all those obstacles so they can move again. That's what they have to do.
Yeah. But people often forget that. And it gets more to politics and
Yes.
yeah.
And I do admit it's difficult. It sounds so easy. I just give you a like to-do list with 3 tasks, go fix. I know it's difficult. And one of the reasons that it can be difficult is if you have a company that had a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of control and not so much trust. I mean, unfortunately, human beings don't work that way. That the moment you're starting like to show trust, then everyone are going like, hallelujah, now our management trusts us, we will now go do stuff. They will just, be very and, probably still be like, arms crossed and
Yeah.
yeah, management doing like this and this. And of course, employees should behave themselves, be nice to the management, just like the management should be nice to the employees. But it simply takes time.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, it's a shitty task. You have to just keep trusting, and not just saying it, but show it in your actions. And then you have to wait, 6 months, maybe 12 months before your employees start to trust you. And I understand that it sounds like a drag, and I think it is.
Yeah. It's not easy. Some of our listeners are founders or
Yeah.
wannabe founders. So in that case, they have a chance to set it up right from the
Yeah.
start. So how does that work then in a startup? Are there specific things that are different for a startup compared to a large organization?
One of the main differences is that usually you're not that many people. If you're a founder, you just started, you're only you. It's easy to coordinate because everything is inside your mind. And up to about 10 people, you can actually, have the coordination and the collaboration almost organically. It will happen very easily without you have to do anything specifically to make it work. You maybe more have to protect yourself and your employees. We can get back to that. From what I see, when you get, above the 10 people, that is when all those silos start to form.
Yeah.
Suddenly people are not talking with each other. And if you're not mindful about how are we working together, simply finding agreed ways of working, which is talk about it. Again, this is what we're going to accomplish. How are we going to do this? All right, you have that task, I have that task. You are this kind of personality. You have this kind of, life right now. All right, how can we solve this together? You have to talk about it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
If you are less than 10, this can, as I said, that happens organically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, yes, you have to take care of yourself because, I mean, I've worked in a scale up,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, that's not the same as the startup, but there's still some of the same spirit. Like, we can do this, and yeah, we just have to do everything, and everything has to happen fast.
Yes.
And first of all, you can be sure that you are faster than the larger organizations. Trust me, you're much faster. And for that reason, you can take it a bit easy, and you have to do that.
Yeah.
First of all, remember, if I don't take care of myself, my own mental health, again, I'll crash and burn. The company will crash and burn, and then you'll never get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And of course, then the big question is, all right, then I have so little time. And yes, I think that is maybe the second realization you have to make. You have very little time. Trust me, you have much less time that you want to
Yeah.
have. And that means you have to be very clear on that why. Why are we doing what we're doing? And again, very clear on the goals. Where are we going? Because you need that actually almost every day to make sure what I am working on right now is actually the most important thing to reach the goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there will be a lot of tasks coming your way, a lot of opportunities, and you need to evaluate them if there are distractions or actual opportunities that you should
Yes.
take. So it's not easy.
And actually, I do this in my own company now. I'm self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm, just the one consultant in
Mm-hmm.
my solo business. But I actually have goals for my company. That's both on the product side, but also on the personal side, and how I want my day to look.
Mm-hmm.
And then every quarter, I actually create some goals for the product and for the content of those products, and also for my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that. And every week, Friday afternoon, I plan the next week.
Yeah.
And every time I check in on the goals for the quarter. And because the goals for the quarter are actually based on where I want my company to go, I am actually working towards those goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, just, to go completely crazy on this, every day I start my day with figuring out what are the 3 most important things to do today. And I check that I am going towards the weekly goal. So daily, weekly, quarterly,
Wow.
end of time.
That's amazing.
It works.
It works. What does it do for
Yes.
you?
It actually makes it easier to figure out what is the most important
Mm-hmm.
stuff to do, because I fall for this too. We live in a world, we can do so much, and I have a brain that gets a lot of ideas. Oh, there's so much stuff I want to do, and I have also been struggling with that one. We have so little time to do
Yes.
this.
Yeah.
So I have this battling inside my head every day, and if I don't take care, my brain will run me into the ground.
Yeah.
So what it's doing for me is actually making sure that, all right, yes, I want to do this and this and this, but I have this goal for this quarter. So this task is the most important task to get done today, because that is taking me towards that goal.
Yeah, amazing. And absolutely, the brain of founders, I think in general, is like full of ideas and super excited, maybe extra optimistic about things.
Yes. Oh, I know that one too.
Yeah.
Yes, I could do this.
Yeah, exactly. So it
Yeah.
can be also a disappointment when things run slower than you initially planned, and it's a lot of hard work to do things, and also to prioritize. I've learned over the past months also to be better at saying no to things, to prioritizing things like seeing does it align actually with what I want to do. It's maybe less structured in my mind than it is for your planning, but still, is it aligned with my goals? Is it fun to do? How much will it require from me? And evaluate based on that and politely say no. But it's something that I had to learn a bit, because I by nature I feel like, yeah, let's do this. I get excited very fast about amazing ideas. So it's it's a skill to develop when being a founder, I think.
Yes. And I think congratulations that you've actually doing this rather well by now. And I think you're nailing it. That, saying no and, choosing what not to do is some of the most important things you can do. I mentioned Cal Newport. His book, Slow Productivity, is amazing on the quantity quality side. Another book that I loved was Oliver Bergman's Time Management for Mortals. 4,000 Weeks, it's called. And then the Time Management for Mortals. And for a long time, I didn't want to read it because I read so much about time management. I was like a diva going like, he cannot teach me anything. Until I realized this is not about time management, because those 4,000 weeks, those are the weeks each one of us have if we, reach about 80 years.
Okay.
So I've just turned 45. So I have less than 2,000 weeks if I reach 80. That is the time I have left on this planet to do, to create a difference. When you remember that you have to sleep, you have to eat, stuff just, in the house has to get done. You don't have much time left. So his point was, you don't have much time. So with that time you have left, what's the most important thing to do? And actually he said, the trick to actually accomplish that, saying no, is to realize that and just say no to everything else, especially those things we really, really want to do, but that we don't think we have time for. Because they're so tempting to us. It's so tempting to just start doing those, that's, the second one on the list.
Yes.
But you have to focus on the first one. And to me, that was almost life-changing.
Yeah.
Because, I have it, I'm just like you, Paula. Like, oh, so much I want to do. I can do this. I can do this. And no, I have to focus.
Yeah, and time is limited. So yeah, very much. And how, for your journey, how has it been to go from working in a company to now being your own boss?
I've been self-employed for 4 years now. So I had about 15 years just as a regular employee. Most of the time, or at least some of the time, working with basically what I'm doing now. And there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to be self-employed. One of them is, all those ideas we talked about and wanting to change the world and stuff like that. But another one that's more personal is that I have struggled in a regular workplace. I've been in digital for 20 years, so that's, that open space office is, answering emails and chat. It's going to meetings. And one of my challenges is I'm very highly sensitive. I'm sensitive to sound. I'm sensitive to visual inputs. So being this open space office and with all that going on is very challenging for me. And I've been struggling to just get, one day for working at home. Those 15 years as a regular employee, I have had one boss that was just like, yeah, you could do that. The rest of them was just very skeptical. And that means that I have had my amounts of stress and burnout. And that is also one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing. I do love to bring order to chaos and create efficient processes, but I also want to create workplaces that has room for every human beings. Also, those of us that might be a bit different, because something I care a lot about, that our workplaces, they're not fit for human being like general, but also they're very, very one size fits all.
Yeah.
And someone like me being very highly sensitive, which I've recently found out, that is because I have Asperger's. I'm an Aspi, and I also have just a slight ADHD, which probably explains that head with all the ideas. And that was, it's only 3 or 4 months ago since I had the diagnosis. It's still very, very new. But that was like a big aha moment, because that explains why it's been so difficult for me to actually be a part of a regular workplace. And just for the record, I've been told that I've been very valuable. Like all my bosses have been very, very, happy about what I was able to deliver, all that structure and getting people to do stuff, amazing. And I was also, fitting in nicely socially. But, then asking for like one day at home once a week, asking for focused time where I could not be interrupted, maybe trying to get a more quiet place to work, that has mostly been denied to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't ask for it because, I want, a flexible workspace so I can, I don't know, take care of my pony. I was like, I want to do this because I want to be good at what I do, even better than I am already. And also because I actually don't want to like clawing my way to the weekend to just survive in my job. I don't think that's fair.
No. No.
Yeah.
So, how has your mental health been since you made the jump? Has it gone in the better way that you have now the flexibility and the environment that you wanted?
I'm getting closer and
Yeah.
closer. I'm definitely one of those that had learned a lot from
Hmm.
COVID when all of us was just sent home, because that is when it became very clear to me that this is so much better for
Yeah.
me. So when I made the jump, I started out as a freelancer, and that is pretty much also like a regular job, just shorter terms and stuff like that. But we were still working from home,
Mhm.
so that was excellent. Still a lot of meetings, a lot of chats, so that was difficult. And for the last year, I have been doing workshops and coaching instead of being like, I mean, a very expensive temp, which is basically what a lot of the freelance tasks are. So now I'm doing much more counseling and coaching and workshops, and that gives the freedom, and that is amazing.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. And thank you so much for sharing your journey and the personal struggles. It
Welcome.
does. I know it does take courage to say it.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing. I would also want to ask how you answered a bit, but maybe we can go even more in details. How has it changed you having a diagnosis? Putting some label, putting some explanation to what's happening.
I think the change is still happening, to be
Hmm.
honest. Um, it is. I was just going to swear on this podcast in a way I'm not sure I can, but let's call it mind-boggling. It's been very much up and down, but what I can already see now that will be, I think, probably one of the greatest changes in my life. Yes, there was the aha moment. Everything makes sense. This is why I've been struggling and feeling wrong and weird for all my life. But two things have actually kind of showed up already. First of all, I have started to believe that I'm actually really crazy good at some stuff. A lot of neurodivergent folks have like superpowers. Not everyone, and that's very important to mention, but many have, and I do. I mean, that process stuff, structure case, yeah, I have something there that's not everyone has. And I don't think I quite believed that before because it was so easy
Yeah.
to me. So it's like everyone can do this. So I've actually started to believe that I have some superpowers. And also, that's the second part. I'm also finally starting to letting myself be bad at stuff because I'm definitely in that category of that like overachieving perfectionist that many probably women fall into. And suddenly I kind of just let myself be okay with, being stressed easily when plans change, because I have tried to like fake how flexible and like spontaneous I am, which I'm not. I hate it. I want plans. I don't want things to change. And I get so stressed when stuff change. And for the first time in my life, I actually let myself, just struggle with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Identifying your superpowers. I think
Yes.
that's amazing. For the listeners, if they want to get more productivity in their company in a human way, how can they reach you?
They can find me on LinkedIn and invite me for coffee. I do love coffee chats, and I can talk about processes and
Mhm.
people. I mean, forever. I found out, as an autistic person, one of the key diagnosis criteria are special interest, and well, processes and people are some of my special interests. So I can really talk about
Mhm.
that for so long. And if there's any Danish listeners out there, I do have a blog actually with a lot of productivity
Oh, nice.
tips. And I also do a Danish podcast. It started out as something about agile methodologies. Now it's just efficiency and collaboration and management. It's called the Agile Roots, Hviid. So if anyone's up for that and understand Danish, otherwise I think it will be a bit boring. They can find me
Unless
there as
you
well.
make an AI generated translation.
Yes, I'm actually planning on doing that for my blog at some
Nice.
time to get an English version as well. I'm not sure about the podcast, I have to admit.
Technology is improving in that area as well. So who knows?
Yes.
And the blog's name is, can you spell it out?
It's my name and an H, LINEH.DK, LINEH.DK.
Super. I love your approach of measuring things and looking for productivity that is more aligned with the future of work, I would say. Because something needs to change in that. Otherwise, we'll all go crazy. And it's a bit of a shame if everyone has to go through at least one burnout to learn their lessons. I know that's the best way of learning, experiencing it, but it's painful.
And I agree. I would much rather that people learn from our mistakes than, making them themselves. And of course, to make it easier to not make those mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So super nice. And thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing your journey, lessons, and your approach to life.
And thank you for inviting me. It was a pure pleasure.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.